So today I wanted to take a look at the WoW's dev blog again. They released at the end of last month some balance changes coming to 10.4. They're on the public test server, but these are likely going to come through to the main game. So I wanted to just give my thoughts and opinions on them and let you guys know what's coming up, just a little bit of news. Or maybe some of your favorite ships getting nerfed. So Thunder is again getting nerfed down to 21.5 kilometers range from 23. And that was obviously nerfed down from 24 point whatever it was down to 23. So they're nerfing the range. They're trying to make Thunder less able to spam HE from the back of the map. The problem is 21.5 kilometers is still really good range for a tier 10 battleship. That's more than Ohio has. That's more than Kurfürst has. That's more than Colombo has. That's more than Kremlin has. It's good range still. And of course, the other massive problem with Thunderer having reduced range is that it still has the best reload, or one of the best reloads of any tier 10 battleship. Of course, Republic exists, but Thunder can get down to that 22-second reload-ish time, 23-second. So you could afford to put range mod on this ship and get back out to, 25 kilometers range and still have a 26-second reload, which is what other battleships have to take reload mod to even get close to 26 seconds. So The main problem with Thunder is the HE, in my opinion. They shouldn't be nerfing the range. They should be nerfing the high explosive on Thunder. That's my opinion. They should cut the fire chance in half, nerf the damage by 20 to 30%. And then what you'd have is you'd have a tier 10 version of the not Queen Elizabeth, Warspite, the premium, tier 6 Warspite. You'd have a ship focused on AP that overmatches some stuff at its tier that's relatively accurate, but a little bit squishy. I think that would be a great ship. So these Thunder nerfs don't really mean much to me, unfortunately. Stalingrad getting a nerf to its radar. This is probably a good change. Stalingrad, of course, got recently nerfed by no longer being able to fit fire prevention. It takes 60-second fires like a battleship does, so it's nowhere near as tanky as it used to be. So they're really trying to make Stalingrad more into a support cruiser or long-range gun support cruiser kind of thing. They don't want the ship... They seemingly don't want the ship to have this tanking, long-range, long-duration radar utility. So they took away some of the tankiness. Now they're taking away a little bit more of the radar, down to 20 seconds. This is probably fine. You're probably in random battles, you're probably not getting all that much use out of your radar anyway these days, because it's very hard to push in and actually radar things with your Stalingrad these days, because people tend to focus you. So this is probably a good change, though. Stalingrad was still a very strong ship. Flint is, unfortunately, only getting a 0.8 kilometer increase to its main gun firing range. Atlanta, as a reminder, gets around 13 kilometers range. But to get that 0.8 kilometer range increase on Flint, you're getting your reload cut by 0.2 seconds. So it seems Flint is still going to be a nearly unplayable ship. And it would be fine like this if it faced tier 7 all the time, but it doesn't. We all know what tier 7 matchmaker is like these days, and how it mainly faces tier 9s. And when you're facing tier 9s and you have 11.9 kilometers range, not quite enough to cut it, even if you have a smokescreen that you can pop. On to Grozovoi. This ship, I don't think needed a buff, but it's likely that people just weren't playing this ship very much, that they felt like they needed to buff it. Grozovoi is a very strong ship. Just go watch some streams from my clanmates who are DD players. They do some pretty nasty things at Grozovoi. The guns, of course, are incredible, right? They have decent reload, they have great firing arcs, amazing range, good fire chance, good damage, and the ship getting all the utility in the world to help it deal with aircraft, help it heal. It's got smoke. It's a great ship, especially now that it doesn't take AP pens. Of course, it hasn't taken AP pens in a while, but that was obviously the biggest weakness of the Grozovoi, was that it was really big and clumsy back in the day, and it took AP pens all the time. So now that when that change happened, Grozovoi went from a ship that went from being kind of okay to play to being a really amazing destroyer to play. So this to me sounds like they're buffing this ship because people just aren't playing it enough, I guess. It's not really that big of a buff. Torpedo damage and a little bit of flooding chance. Z-52. You're getting a, what, 5% reload buff? That's not bad base, honestly. 4 to 3.8 seconds. That differentiates the Z-52 a little bit more from Z-46. Of course, Z-46 was pretty much just a Z-52 at tier 9 with a slightly different gun layout, which is better if you're trying to kite away, right? Having 2 turrets in the back compared to 2 turrets in the front. A lot of my friends liked to play Z-46 over Z-52 even, just because you'd get better matchmaker with basically the same ship. So giving it a little buff to DPM is probably a good thing. It'd be nice if they translated some of this DPM buff over to the upcoming German destroyers with the bigger guns, because those ones look like they don't have very much of that DPM. Jutland getting another nerf. Oh, what does the spreadsheet say? Daring is too good? Ah, time to nerf Jutland again, I guess. Poor Jutland. That's all I'm gonna say. Poor Jutland. Oh my goodness. So Fenyang, getting a buff to the torpedoes. So they're no longer just deepwater Benson torps. They're gonna be deepwater Benson torps that go a little bit farther and a little bit faster. So that's cool. And then of course that translates over to the Chungmu base torpedoes. Same torpedo set, right? That's what happens when you go up a tier. You keep the same upgraded torps on your ship until you research the new ones. Probably a good change, honestly. The Pan-Asian DDs are not ones I play very often these days because, well, especially Yu Yang. I used to love playing Yu Yang until they cut the reload like crazy. They basically made Yu Yang a tier 9, tier 8.5 ship in DPM wise, so it was a little sad to see. So I don't play it mainly because I remember the old one. But it's nice to see the tier 8 and 9 at least getting a little bit of love here. Fenyang, this is the premium Akizuki for the Pan-Asians, but as you can see, it had a base reload of 5.2, meaning it was a really bad version of the Akizuki, which I think it's a 3-second base reload. Just a massive difference, not even the same ship. So I think they should probably buff this premium's reload time to maybe 3.5 seconds, maybe 4 at the most, considering it has maybe some better torpedoes. I think it gets the deepwater Asashio torpedoes, so I don't know. I think this ship was just bad when it came out, and they need to buff it a little bit more, because the poor people who got baited into buying an Akizuki with almost double the reload is kind of sad to me. Oh, here we go. Speaking of the German upcoming destroyers with the 150s, we have the tier 8 and the tier 9 getting DPM buffs. Nice. I'm not sure if that'll make the tier 8 any better. It's unfortunate we don't see any tier 7 on this list. I'm sure you guys have all seen Flamu's video on it by now, with it having tier 1 DPM. At tier 7. Yeah. So hopefully this will help these be a little bit more playable, feel a little nicer. The Schultz hasn't looked too bad to me, so seeing it get a little DPM buff might help it just be a little bit more competitive, which is nice to see. Cleveland getting a nerf, finally. Radar being reduced by 3 seconds. Okay. That's probably okay, considering the ship is just incredible, right? You get 12 guns, fast reload, tons of fire chance, pretty good range. Your ship has basically no citadel. Yeah, Cleveland's a great ship, and it might have been performing a little too well against destroyers, is my guess, based on this nerf. So nerfing the radar is probably a decent change. But Cleveland's still a great ship, honestly. This isn't going to change the playstyle of it all that much. Leander and Fiji getting some nerfs by the looks of it? Wow. That's a long time, man. These ships have stayed basically how they were since release. Huh. So that's a good thing, at least. I see Nagato down there a little bit too. That's something I want to say is I do like these balance changes from Wargaming. I think it's really cool that they're trying to balance their game. And this dev blog here tells me that they're actually trying to balance their game, not just make their newest premium and newest line of ships look good so that people free XP or spend money, right? Them balancing and applying nerfs and buffs to older ships means to me that they're actually putting an effort into making the game better for everyone. So that is really cool. I don't know if Leander and Fiji was a very strong tier 7. I don't know if Leander was that strong at tier 6, considering it doesn't have that many guns, but you know, you get a slightly reduced smoke screen and you get a slightly longer reload on Leander and Fiji. So it probably won't change your playstyle all that much. It's 0.2 reload. Might be a little bit of damage at the end of the game that you don't get, that kind of thing. But these are still very good ships that you have to just be careful when playing them, because obviously they like to explode when battleships shoot at them. The Eden also is getting a nerf on its smokescreen, but not to its DPM. So that's nice. It differentiates the Fiji and the Eden a little bit more, considering Fiji was basically just Eden with a better matchmaker. I guess Eden had the better heal to start to get, but that really didn't change that much. That didn't make up for the worst matchmaker. So it's probably good now that Eden feels like a bit more of an upgrade over Fiji. Petropavlovsk. Oh boy. 0.5 second reload time nerf. I don't know if that's enough to... That doesn't really deal with the main problem of the Petro, which is that anybody can survive in this ship for a long period of time. You can go broadside to almost anybody, and you're probably not going to take that much damage, especially at longer ranges. If you point bow in, you're going to last for at least 8 minutes. I guess nerfing its DPM is good, right? Making it less effective when it is shooting at things, but I would have loved to see the ship be raised out of the water by maybe a whole deck, right? Letting it get citadeled a little easier, take a little more damage from high explosive, just by being a bigger target to hit, that kind of thing. That's the nerf I would have loved to see for Petro. Maybe reducing the concealment as well, making it, I don't know, maybe 13.5, 14 kilometer detect like the other tier 10 heavy cruisers on the Russian line, right? Like Stalin and Moskva being 14.1-ish concealment. That would have been something I would have loved to see, of all those things, but at least they're trying to nerf Petro. That'll probably need a few more tweaks by the time they actually get it going well. Nagato. Okay, yep, there it is. So you get a 1 second reload buff. I thought Nagato was a great ship already, so getting a little bit faster reload is great. It's a little bit uncomfortable to play because you get overmatched by pretty much everything at your tier and higher, and even some tier 6s too. But the big health pool, you know, kind of makes up for that. So I always found this ship to be quite good because the guns were so accurate and hit so hard. Honestly, sometimes I felt like moving up to Amagi was kind of a downgrade because, yes, Amagi gets one more turret, but it gets worse dispersion, and that can be frustrating. So, cool, a buff to Nagato. I'm down for that. Now for the Italian battleships. Mid-tier Italian battleships getting some love. I like that. I thought these ships were fine. If you saw my videos when these were gradually releasing through the Italian battleship event, I enjoyed most of these ships. I thought the tier 5, 6, and 7 were all pretty solid. So giving them buffs is pretty cool. The tier 8 being Aroma with worse Sigma. Getting 0.1 Sigma increase to that is honestly a pretty cool thing. I like that. I think it would be interesting to see if they ever put it up to 1.8 Sigma, just like Roma. But I don't know if they'll go that far, because SAP is just so strong. And of course, you're getting the utility out of the fuel smoke as well. And they're adjusting Tiger 59. This is the tier 8 with Minotaur turrets. 2 Minotaur turrets. So that is the dev blog. That is the changes. I love that they're trying to change new and old ships. Not just buffing new ships or making new ships feel stronger. I think this is good. I hope that they continue along this trajectory, making maybe ships like Thunder a bit more balanced than even this patch is showing. So to round out this video, I wanted to talk at the end just about how Thunder could possibly get balanced in the future. And I actually don't think that Thunder is the problem. You notice at the beginning, I didn't actually talk about nerfing Thunder's ship stats. I talked about nerfing its ammo type, the HE specifically. I am someone who thinks that high explosive is just too strong. I think on a fundamental level, it's just too good. It allows players to deal damage at any angle, at any range, all the time. Okay? I think that an ammo type that is that universal should not also have the ability to deal high alpha damage and set dots that deal a ton of damage, right? A permanent fire these days is 10 to 15,000 damage at tier 10. That's a lot. And permanent fires are not that hard to get. I personally do think that high explosive is too strong. So I would nerf high explosive across the board if it were up to me. And that nerf would include Thunder, obviously. It would include cruisers, it would include destroyers. And I think something a lot of people are missing is how good armor piercing is when you get people's broadsides, right? And people complain every time I bring up that HE should be nerfed. It's like, well, how am I going to get damage then in X ship? And I'm just sitting there thinking, well, your armor piercing is amazing. Have you never used it? Like Hindenburg, for example. Everybody uses HE Hindenburg only all the time. I was playing my Kurfürst in ranked the other day, and I was flat broadside to a Hindenburg. I just stayed flat broadside, much like this GK is. And the Hindenburg only shot HE into my belt. He didn't swap to AP. Is it so bad that I want a game where intelligent decision-making is rewarded? Is it so bad that I want people to look for broadsides and look for flanking maneuvers to get these big chunks with AP? I don't think so. But in order to do that, I think HE just needs to be nerfed. I think it's just too strong. So I think that would be the way you'd balance Thunder. It's not just Thunder that's the issue. I think it's all of HE. If you think Thunder is too strong, you probably think HE is too strong. It's not the ship, it's the ammo type, in my mind. Because you can just do stuff like this. Oh, I shattered 4 times on that guy's probably broadside armor. But we got 2 fires. Wow. And that was blind in a cyclone. Right? I don't think he should be able to get that kind of consistent damage. And he damage conned it. So let's blind fire again. Oh, we missed that time. But had we gotten a fire, right, that would have been a permanent fire for 10 to 15,000 damage that I would have got when blind. Right? AP would not have been able to do that. I just think it's too strong. And in my video where I talked about why battleship players won't push in the future, once Deadeye is removed, it is because of HE spam, it is because of CVs, it is because of destroyers. Pushing is so heavily punished these days, to the point where it's really difficult to play the game and brawl it out, right? The way to play this game these days is to sit back and snipe. So, in my mind, the balance change to Thunder in nerfing its range is is showing that Wargaming doesn't really understand the core issue. They're just looking at a symptom, and they're saying, oh, Thunderers are sniping from the back of the map. Why don't we nerf the range? When the main problem is not that they're sniping from the back, it's the HE. And that if you nerf the HE and you've rewarded them for using the AP more, they would be more likely to push up, they'd be more likely to flank, they'd be more likely to get broadsides. But the HE is just so good in these longer range scenarios where you don't have to worry about angle, you don't have to worry about pen, you just get fire after fire after fire after fire, dealing massive, massive amounts of damage. Because AP can do work, right? It's 457mm AP. It hits really, really hard. That Thunder is very accurate. The ship essentially is a tier 10 Warspite, but they just overtuned the HE on the tier 10 Warspite to the point where it's just better than the AP a lot of the time. It's sad to say, but that's my thoughts on the balance changes. Overall, they're very good. I just think that the Thunder nerfs are weird and not actually addressing the issue that they should be. So thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a great day.